Do you understand that you're a son of your lawyer?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You may continue the examination of the witness.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Weiss, let me turn your attention back to the night of February 9th, 2014 at Brooks' front house on the Haiku property. That evening, while you folks, while there was food and the movie was going on, could you explain the mood?
We were all happy. We were just kind of joking around, having a fun time.
And how about Charlie? Could you describe her?
She was definitely happy.
Now, you were earlier before the break. You mentioned that Charlie was wearing a black skirt that went down to her ankles. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you describe the condition of that skirt that you saw her wearing that night?
It was in fine condition, all clean, no holes, no.
Okay, can you speak a little louder,
marks.
please?
Sorry. It was fine. It looked pretty much like it was brand new. Besides, it was probably faded from her wearing it.
Okay, you said some other words before that though. Did you say no holes?
Oh yeah, no holes.
And as far as the blue tank top with white polka dots, could you describe the condition of that?
That one was definitely brand new.
So did you notice any marks or holes in that?
Oh, no, nothing.
Okay, now, are you aware if Charlie Scott that night on, or during that time period of February 2014, are you aware whether she had any body piercings?
Oh yeah, she did.
And where are these?
She had her tongue pierced, she had her nipples pierced, and she just recently had gotten her clitoris pierced.
Okay, let's talk about the tongue piercing. Did you see what kind of piercing that was?
Yeah, it was just like a straight silver piercing right through.
Let me show you what has been marked for identification as States Exhibit 71. And Your Honor, showing counsel that same exhibit.
Yeah, thank you.
Your Honor, may I approach?
You may do so.
Thank you. Ms. White, I'm showing you what has been marked in identification as States Exhibit 71. I'll ask you to please take a look at it. Okay, do you recognize that photograph?
I do. I do.
Have you seen that before?
Yes.
And when have you seen it before?
It was a few years ago. I can't recall the actual year though. But it was.
Okay, does that photograph accurately depict Charlie Scott, I guess around the time of 2000, the end of 2013 through beginning of 2014, as how she appeared?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. And in that picture, is a body piercing shown in that picture?
Yes.
And what part is that?
Her tongue piercing.
And does that accurately depict her tongue piercing that you would have observed of her on the night of February 9th, 2014?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, this time the state would move into the State's Exhibit 71, which is marked for identification.
No objection.
State's Exhibit number 71, marked for identification purposes, is received in evidence.
And Your Honor, permission to publish.
Permission granted.
And the state is going to ask that Ms. Weiss be allowed to step down and indicate to the
You may
photograph.
step down.
Okay, Ms. Weiss, using the same pointer that you used before, who are we looking at here?
No, Charlie.
And you mentioned that the photograph shows a tongue piercing, is that correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay, can you please point to that using the pointer? Your Honor, the record should reflect that Ms. Weiss, using the pointer, has indicated or pointed to the left photograph to the tip of the tongue area where there appears to be a silver ball at the end.
Proceed.
Okay. You can proceed, thank you. Now, prior to, or did your sister Charlie Scott eventually leave that property that night?
Yeah, she did.
Before she left, and I don't want you to tell us what was said because that would be hearsay, did you have a conversation between you and her?
Yes, you did.
And how long did that conversation last?
It was probably only like 10 minutes at the most.
And after that conversation, what, if any, thoughts or concerns did you have for her?
Objection, relevance.
All right, this is the February 9th night, and it goes to the mood and the atmosphere of that night before she left.
Sounds like he's eliciting a fear based
I
on
think I'm-
speculation.
Why don't we have you approach? Proceed.
Okay, Ms. Weiss. You said earlier that your sister Charlie Scott left that evening.
Yeah, she did.
Can you please describe how she left?
She left in her car, her 4Runner.
Could you describe how you parted with her?
I walked her out. She said she was pretty tired, so I hugged her. And we
Okay,
were-
can you just say that a little louder,
So I'll
please?
go ahead and object this to hearsay, move to strike.
I'll sustain the objection and as to that portion of the response concerning what she said.
Okay. Did Charlie Scott, as you walked her out, did she describe to you what her then existing physical or emotional condition was?
Objection, leading,
You know,
relevant,
this is a preliminary question of fact.
leading, relevance, and realizing hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection. Proceed.
What, if any, comment did your sister Charlie Scott make to you describing her then existing emotional or physical condition?
How she felt.
Objection calls for hearsay, lack of foundation.
You know, the foundation's been laid, and this is for then existing emotional or physical condition, which is an exception to the hearsay rule.
What
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Describe how she left.
objection asked and answered
You know, she didn't have a chance to finish.
in the forerunner?
I'll overrule the objection. You may answer the question.
She left in her 4Runner. She was happy. She was tired. She was, she was overall just happy.
Okay, and how did you, if at all, bid farewell to her?
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
You didn't hear the question?
I didn't hear the question.
All right, could you repeat?
Sure,
the
yeah.
question?
How did you, if at all, bid farewell to your sister that night?
I hugged her goodbye. And that was pretty much all. Usually we talked every day, so I just expected that I would get a text from her in the morning.
Now, Ms. Weiss, when was the last time you saw Charlie Scott alive?
February 9th
When?
of 2000, that night after she had left, or right when she was leaving. That was the last time I saw her.
Now, you testified earlier that Charlie announced she was pregnant, and this is back in December of 2013, is that right?
Yes.
In February of 2014, or February, more specifically, by February 9th of 2014, had you seen, if at all, any signs of, physical signs of Charlie Scott's pregnancy?
Yes, I did.
And what did you see?
Actually, that night I had just seen that the baby was kicking.
And how do you know the baby was kicking?
She told me she felt him kicking and told me.
Object this to hearsay.
The objection is sustained.
Okay, without her telling you,
Move to strike the answer.
The motion to strike is granted.
without saying what she told you, did you observe that?
Yes, I did.
Now, you testified, one of the answers or responses you just gave was you expected Charlie Scott to text you the next morning. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yes.
Did Charlie Scott text you the next morning, being Monday, February 10th, 2014?
No, she did not.
Were you scheduled to work that day?
No, I was scheduled to go to school that day.
Okay. And which school is this at that time?
Kincaid, Cowlike?
So were you going to high school and working at the same time?
Yes, it was.
Do you know, if you do you know your sister's schedule that day at work? I'm meeting Charlie Scott. If you do.
The objection is sustained.
Okay, I have to lay some foundation. What was your schedule during that time period?
I went to school during the weekdays, sometimes worked after school, and then I worked weekends.
And you said sometimes you worked after school.
Yeah.
Were there times that you would have observed your sister Charlie Scott working when you would be working?
Yes.
And were you familiar with her work schedule?
So I'm sorry, if this is the work at the Hui, I would have no objection.
This is the only work, Your Honor.
Objection is withdrawn.
Okay. Did you know your sister's work schedule at the Hui?
A little. Only on the days that I worked. That's when I kind of knew that she was working.
Did you know her work schedule that Monday, February 10th, 2014?
I knew she didn't work at Paragon, so she did work at the Hui, where she was scheduled to work.
Okay, now you
So
said...
I'll actually object given the foundation that she testified to.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Move to strike the answer.
All right, the motion to strike is granted.
You said, well, it's stricken, but do you know if your sister worked at Paragon's?
Did I know that?
Do you know if she worked at Paragon?
Yeah, she did.
So
What is
I'll object
Paragon?
as to leading?
You know, this is a preliminary question of fact.
The objection is overruled.
Okay, let's talk about that. What is Paragon?
It's a hair salon in Makwa.
Have you seen her work there before?
Yes, I have.
Now, other than Paragon, what is the other place you worked at?
At the Hui Noya?
Now, on Monday, you said she did not text you in the morning, is that correct?
No, she did not.
Did you receive any text from her that Monday, February 10th, 2014?
No, I did not.
How about phone call?
No.
What, if anything, was going on in your mind when you did not receive any text or phone call that day?
During the day, I just thought maybe she was busy at work.
When you got home from school, did you receive any text or phone call from Charlie Scott?
No, I did not.
How about later that evening?
No.
Are you familiar with the term pinging?
Oh, sorry.
Pinging, P-I-N-G-I-N-G.
Yes, I am.
And how are you familiar with that?
With the app that my mom had me install on my phone.
Okay, and what app, when you say app, is that, what do you mean by app?
It's something that you download on your phone, like game.
Okay,
app.
and so which app are you referring to that your mother had you install?
It was the Life 360.
And what is your understanding of this Life 360?
My understanding is it can track wherever you are, or whoever is in your family group, you can see where they are at all times.
And how do you know who's within your family group?
You have to sign them up with your family, so you have to get their number and actually have them confirm to it.
Now, when you sign up for the app 360, does it tell you which members of your family are part of that app 360?
Yes, it does.
And during that time period, who in your family was part of the, who of your family was confirmed as part of the App 360?
It was my mom, me, and Charlie.
So going into the evening hours of Monday 2014, this is again February 10th, had you received any text or phone call from Charlie Scott?
No, I hadn't.
Pardon me?
No, I hadn't.
And what, if anything, did you do with respect to the App 360 that you just described?
That night, I actually hadn't done, I hadn't looked on it.
Now, without telling us what was said or anything, do you know if any member of your family looked on the App 360?
Yes, I do.
And who is this?
My mom?
Did you see that yourself?
Yeah, I did.
And did you see which phone? Well, what is it called when you try to contact or locate a phone through the App 360? Is there a term for that?
Like locating them, it is like a ping. I think that's how you would describe that.
Okay. Prior to this date, have you ever used this App 360 before?
I had, yes.
And when would that have been?
I mean, all the time, but one specific time I lost my phone at Giggle Hill. And
Where's Giggle Hill at?
up in Haiku.
And so after you lost your phone in Giggle Hill, what did you do?
I used my mom's Life 360 to track my phone.
The Life 360 is the App 360 that we're talking about?
Yes.
Were you able to track your phone through that?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, can you please describe how you tracked it?
It shows a map, so you just kind of click on my name and it'll show the location. And we just kept walking until we got closer to that location and ended up finding it.
And Giggle Hill, what type of area is that?
It's a big open field. It has a park on it, and then the huge hill that you can walk up.
And so you were able to find your cell phone using this App 360?
Yes, I was.
And just to further clarify, when you say it shows a location, can you describe that?
It'll show actually it does show the address if you do have an address, but I was in the field, so it kind of just showed where in the field my phone was located.
Okay, and so what does it indicate in the field when it shows you there?
It shows my name.
And what else, if anything?
Just an arrow of where it's pointing at.
Now, you said that night on February 10th, you observed your mom use the same app from her phone.
Yes.
And you said you used your mom's phone to find your phone at Giggle Hill, is that correct?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you observe on your mother's phone?
Objection, hearsay.
No, this is an observation.
It's an observation of something being said. For the truth of the matter asserted.
The objection is overruled. You may answer the question.
Okay, please tell us, what did you observe on your mom's phone that night?
That night I saw that Charlie's connection had been lost out in Hana.
When you say Charlie's connection had been lost, what do you mean by that?
Meaning that wherever she last was, it lost service, and that was out in Kenai, so it just didn't show her ever coming back from there.
Now, object, lack of foundation.
The objection is sustained.
Move to strike the answer.
Motion to strike instructions.
Okay, without telling us whether or not she came back from Kenai, we're just talking about the phone, okay, not about Charlie specifically. Okay. What did that When you said there was a lost signal, I mean a lost, what word did you use? I'm sorry.
Lost connection
Okay.
on the network.
When you use the word lost connection, what does that mean?
That there's no more service, like no bars to be able to really call anyone.
So what did you observe on your mother's, well, does it show on the, when you try to locate somebody's phone, is there a picture that's shown on, for example, your mother's cell phone screen?
Objection leading.
No, this is a preliminary question of fact.
Objection leading.
The objection is sustained.
Okay, what if anything is shown on the screen when you use this application?
Sorry, what is shown?
Yes.
Any of the people's names that are in the family.
Is that the only thing that's shown is the names?
Objection leading. Asked and answered.
The objection is sustained.
Ms. Weiss, can you describe with particularity what you observed on your mother's screen when she used the Life 360 to locate Charlie Scott's phone?
Objection asked and answered.
No, this is another question.
The objection is overruled. You may answer the question.
Tell us exactly what you saw on your mom's screen, please.
So I saw Charlie's ping out in K9, and it said that it had lost connection around 10:56, February 9th, Sunday night.
Someone object, hearsay.
No, this is what she observed on the screen.
Reading an out-of-court statement offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
Let me ask counsel, please approach.
Now, when you saw this information on the screen that you just testified to, okay, and you and can I have her finish her answer? I don't think she
Yes,
totally completed it.
In terms of what she observed,
Right, that's correct, Your Honor.
yes, you may.
Okay. Can you tell us, I'm not sure if you need to back up and start from the beginning what you saw, but I know at some point there was an objection and you didn't finish your answer.
Your Honor, is
Can
the
you-
court allowing the location?
No, it's just what she
On
saw.
The observation, whatever was observed on the screen.
Does that include the testimony of K&I, even though there would be no specification on the screen?
I'll allow her to describe what she observed on the screen.
Okay, Ms. Weiss, tell us, what did you observe or see on your mother's screen that night?
I had seen Charlie's ping spot out in K9, and it says it lost
Objection,
connection.
Objection?
Yeah, it's the same objection
It is the same objection.
that's been overruled.
It's going beyond that.
They'll need, all I'm interested in right now is an answer that describes what was seen on the screen. I'm not myself personally familiar with the app, so I don't know exactly how it reads, but that's the only thing I want is whatever was actually observed on
Okay.
the screen.
Move to
Thank you.
strike what answer was given?
Sorry, I'll grant the motion to strike. You can start this again.
Okay, Ms. Weiss, I need you to tell us, or I'm sorry, I don't need you to tell us, but please tell us exactly what you observed on your mother's screen that night.
So there was Charlie's name. It has a ping spot of where her last location was. It said it lost connection around 10:56 p.m. of February 9th, which is that Sunday. It gives a history as well.
So, Your Honor, I'm going to object. In as much as she answered lost communication or connection around, I can't imagine that it said that. And I would object as lack of foundation and hearsay.
You know, if I may clear that part up.
I'll sustain the objection.
Move to strike the answer?
Motion
Not the
to
entire
strike.
answer, Your Honor.
You know, it's not going to be clear as to, this particular answer begins with, it said it lost connection around, so that's the answer I'm striking.
Okay. Did it give a time when it would have lost connection? Because you said there was a indication that said it lost connection.
Objection, lack of foundation and relies on hearsay, particularly foundation if the previous testimony was around.
Your Honor, we're not going to around. I'm asking you
What I'm
to-
allowing is whatever that screen said. I do think the way you phrased the question, it goes beyond that.
Okay. What do you recall seeing the screen saying with respect to a time?
So objection. Given her last answer, Your Honor, I have to object this lack of foundation and hearsay.
You know, this is a preliminary question
And
of
it's been asked and
fact.
answered then.
He struck it, so if the answer stands, I don't have to go any further.
The answer shows
Okay.
no guarantee to trustworthiness.
Let me hear your responses.
Can you answer that?
To what time?
Right.
I do remember it saying 10:56. That's where those numbers came from. I recall
I'm
the
sorry,
app
I'm not
saying-
hearing those last words.
I recall the app saying that it was at 10:56 that her last ping spot. That was the time.
Okay, thank you. Now, do you recall if police officers came to the haiku home that night?
Yes,
On
they
February
did.
10th,
Yeah.
Monday. Were you involved with any discussion with them?
No, not too much.
Now, you said that night you did not try to ping Charlie's phone with your phone, is that correct?
Yeah, not using my phone.
All right. At any time, did you try to use your phone to ping Charlie's phone?
Yes, I did.
And when would that have been?
I believe that was the morning after Monday, so the 11th.
So this would be Tuesday, the 11th?
Yes.
And when did you attempt that?
In the morning before I had gone up to Hana.
And so did you go to school that morning?
No, I did not.
And when you say you tried to ping Charlie's phone with your phone, was this using the same app that you described earlier?
Yes.
And what if any response did you get when you tried to do that?
There was no response, just lost connection.
Same objection, Your Honor? I'm taking same limits.
Okay, without telling us what
Yeah, move to strike.
The motion to strike is granted.
without telling us what anything said, were you able to get a response?
No.
Now, turn your attention, well, you said before you went out to search for your sister, you tried to ping her phone with your phone, is that right?
Yes, I did.
After you tried that, you didn't get a response, what did you do?
On that Tuesday, we went out and searched. We went out towards Hana.
Okay, and when you say we, who are you referring to?
Me and my mom.
Did anyone else go with you folks when you first left to go out there?
No, not when we first went.
And who was driving?
My mom.
At some point in time, do you recall, if at all, meeting up with anyone else as you're searching with your mom?
Yes. Johnny and Fiona had gone in one car, and then
Did you see this yourself?
yes,
Okay.
and then later on, I had gone back out with Brooke and Steven.
Okay. Let's talk about that part.
So I'm gonna object as unresponsive.
To me, the very last response.
I think the question was who did she meet up with, and I don't think the question.
Judge, then she said she ended up going out with Brooke and Steven was her last response.
Okay, if that's meeting up with it, that's fine.
All right, proceed. You're withdrawing the objection.
That's fine.
All right, the objection's withdrawn.
Okay, let's talk about that. How is it that you met up with Brooke and the defendant?
Me and my mom were headed back to Haiku, and she was heading out to Hana. So when I saw her car pass,
She meaning who?
Brooke.
Okay, so what happened?
When I saw Brooke's car pass, we both stopped, and I ran in with Brooke. I jumped out of my mom's car and jumped in with Brooke.
Was Brooke alone or with anyone else?
She was alone in her car.
So when you say Brooke and the defendant, how do you mean?
He was driving his own car, and then Brooke in her own.
Did you see what kind of vehicle the defendant was driving?
It was his 4Runner.
Had you seen his 4Runner before?
Not this one, no.
Had you seen that?
So object as to foundation on the last answer, move to strike.
The objection is sustained, the motion to strike is granted.
Okay, what vehicle did you see the defendant in at that time when you went into Brooks' car?
His forerunner.
Before saying his forerunner, how do you know it was his forerunner?
So I'm going to object to the form of the question.
The objection, at least for the time being, was overruled.
Okay, how do you know it was his forerunner?
I guess I just assumed that it was his.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I assumed it was his since he was driving it.
So, object lack foundation.
Okay, just find out which other question, I'll move on.
Move to strike.
The motion to strike is granted.
So the vehicle you saw the defendant in that day, Tuesday, was what?
A forerunner.
And what kind of car was Brooke driving?
Her blue Toyota. I don't know what kind of car it was.
Well, is it a sedan?
Object lack of foundation.
Judge, I'm asking a
If I
preliminary
heard
question of
correctly.
fact.
For the time being, I will overrule the objection.
Okay,
May I
let's-
ask that the witness continue her level of volume to the end of every answer?
Judge, I do object. The state will try to make sure that she speaks up, but for counsel to make a request like that, that's harassing Ms. Weiss.
I was addressing the court, and the court knows that I was addressing the court.
Let's proceed.
Thank you.
We obviously want to make sure everyone can hear.
Right,
all of this.
and the state has been asking her to repeat herself when it tails off.
Well, I don't want repetition. I want volume.
Counsel doesn't get to.
All right.
I don't get to hear?
Excuse me. Let's everybody take a step back and let's proceed with the question. If you could assist us with giving me your best shot at the receiver volume, I'd appreciate it. All right.
I will definitely try.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. The car that Brooke was driving, is it a truck?
No.
Is it a sedan? Do you know what a sedan is?
No, not really.
Okay, describe the car she was driving.
It was a small two-door blue car.
Okay. Now, when you said you jumped in with Brooke in her car, what did you guys do?
We drove further out. Our destination was to find out where Charlie was last pulled over to help Stephen.
And that night, did you folks reach that destination?
We did.
That night, or that day while you was with Brooke, what if any attempts, or what attempt, if any, did you folks do to try to search for Charlie?
At that point, we were just kind of driving back towards Haiku, pulled over wherever we could, and we were throwing rocks and calling her name.
When you say we, who are you referring to?
Me and Brooke.
Was the defendant in his forerunner within, I guess, eyesight of you folks that entire time you guys are coming back from Haiku?
No, he wasn't.
At some later time, Ms. Weiss, did you folks, if at all, run into the defendant coming back towards Haiku?
Yes, we did.
Can you describe that for us, please?
Me and Brooke had seen a road that we've never really seen before, so we pulled over. Anything suspicious looking, we usually did pull over. And we saw lights coming up and realized that it was Stephen. And he said that...
Okay, before we get into what was being said, I'm just asking you, what did you see, okay?
Yes.
This area that, well, first of all, how did you know it was the defendant coming up?
I mean, he had stopped and talked to us.
And was he in that same 4Runner that you saw him in earlier?
Yes, he was.
And the road that you folks saw the defendant coming up in, was it a paved road or a dirt road?
Dirt road.
And do you know what that dirt road leads down to?
It leads to a little bay.
What's the name of it?
Nailua, I think. I know it as Paraquats.
So object any testimony relative to Lua or lack of foundation.
As to that particular name, I will sustain the objection and strike that particular name, that portion of the response related to Paraquats will remain.
Paraquats will remain, Your Honor.
Yes.
So when you saw the defendant coming up in the 4Runner at Paraquats Bay, or the bay that led down to Paraquats, did he stop and talk to you folks?
Yes, he did.
And what did he tell you folks?
He said that he had already checked it out down there. He asked if we wanted to go down because he knew that he could get farther than what he had already gotten in his car.
His car meaning the 4Runner.
Yes.
Looking at the road, do you know if Brooks' car would have been able to go down there?
It definitely would not make it.
Did you folks go down with the defendant when he offered to take you folks down there?
No, we did not.
Is there a reason why you guys didn't?
It was dark.
Objection, relevance?
Your Honor, this is a search.
The objection is overruled.
Okay, is there a reason why you folks didn't?
It was dark. We just wanted to keep heading back, and we would check it out in the morning, if anything.
Now, the morning being, the next morning being Wednesday, February 12th, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, what, if anything, did you do with respect to the search for your sister Charlie Scott on Wednesday?
On Wednesday, I believe we were all still going out to Hana at that point. We were all still kind of driving out, hoping to find her car.
Okay, so you folks were looking for her vehicle at that point?
Yeah.
And what kind of vehicle were you looking for?
Why does counsel have to repeat everything that's said?
Judge, this is
It's a waste of 403, waste of time.
Judge, a waste of time are some of these objections.
All right, the objection is overruled. Well, let's get the next question.
Okay. Got the last question, Your Honor. Second. Okay, we're talking about Wednesday, the morning of the 12th. You said you folks had were going out to hunt. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you say you folks, who are you referring to?
It would have been my family, so Brooke, my mom, Johnny, Fiona, and I believe Max too.
And on Wednesday, were you able to, did you yourself locate or find anything?
On Wednesday, no, I did not.
Now, let me turn your attention to the next day. This will be Thursday, February 13th, 2014. The next day. What, if anything, did you do or participate in searching for your sister, Charlie Scott?
I believe that day, during the day, I had gone down to the lighthouse in Haiku, and then had asked Max to take me out to Paraquats and search that area.
Now, you said you asked Max to take you out to Paraquats. Why that particular area?
That was where her last ping was, and from what I had heard from people.
Okay, without telling us what you heard from people or what they told you, why paraquats?
That was her last ping spot.
When you say that was her last ping spot, what do you mean by that, Ms. Weiss?
Where I last saw her location on the Life 360 app.
Are you talking about the app that you saw on your mother's phone on Monday?
Yes.
Is there a reason why you waited till Thursday for that versus Tuesday or Wednesday?
I had been asking if I could go out there, but I was young and didn't have my own car, so I needed to find someone to take me out there. And Max was the first one to say that he would.
And what arrangements, if any, were made with you and Max to go out there? Without telling us who asked who or what, just how did you get out there?
Molly Worth, we had her drive us out.
And what type of vehicle did Molly use to drive you folks out there?
It was a red truck.
It was a red truck? Well, you went in the red truck with them, right?
Yeah.
Did you folks go to the Paraquats area?
Yes, we did.
Was the red truck able to make it down that pathway that you previously saw the defendant coming up on Tuesday?
Yeah, we made it about halfway down.
And approximately what time or part of the day was this that you, Max, and Molly, using her red truck, went there?
I believe it was around 3 or 4 that we headed out there.
And by the time you folks got out there, was it still daylight?
It was, yeah, it was at that point.
Now, you said Molly was able to make it halfway down there, is that correct?
Yeah.
And as well, is there a reason why Molly only made it halfway down, if you know?
The road looked like it was way too hard to get down. Also, the branches were kind of coming down. We just couldn't make it through.
So after going halfway down there, what did you folks do?
We turned around and parked at one of the pullover spots and then started searching just on feet.
Okay, when you say where did you drive to get to the pullover spot?
The pullover spot is kind of on that road.
Okay, I'm sorry, I want to make this clear. Is it on the dirt road that leads to Paraquats or the paved Hana Highway road?
The dirt road that leads to Paraquats.
So do you guys pull over and then what do you do?
We got out and we walked down towards the bay.
Did you folks walk all the way down towards the bay?
Yeah, we made it to the bay.
By the time you got to the bay, was it still lighted outside there?
It was starting to set. There was a little bit of light.
And when you're down at the bay, what did you guys do?
We walked back towards the truck and I asked if we could go into the bush area, kind of towards the bridge.
Okay. To get to the bush area, is this from the bay or from the dirt road leading down to the bay?
From the dirt road leading down to the bay.
Do you know, I'm not asking you for an exact distance, but do you know how far you had to walk up the dirt road to get into, I guess, the bush area that you mentioned?
Maybe a half mile, maybe less.
You didn't measure the distance?
No, we didn't.
Now, did you have any experience in searching through a forest area or anything that's I guess, heavily wooded or bushed
Mm,
or brush?
No, I don't.
Do you know if anyone in between you, Molly, or Max had any experience?
Molly
Section
does.
Foundation,
How? Yeah, I'm gonna lay a foundation right now.
move to strike the answer.
The motion to strike is granted. You may lay upon it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Were you made aware, if at all, if any of the three of you had any experience doing searches in this type of terrain?
Yes.
And how were you made aware of that?
Molly had told me.
So just, as you guys are making a search in this terrain, can you describe how it started?
How
What
the
did you
search
guys
started.
do?
We had walked out into one of the kind of easier areas into the bushes, and we kind of stuck close together. I did get separated, but just search wherever we could. Don't move anything. That's pretty much what we did.
When you say don't move anything, why?
I'm sorry, I failed to hear that last answer. I apologize.
Okay, can you repeat that answer, please? What did you guys do?
We went down into the easiest spot that we could, into the bushes, stuck close, and just searched everywhere we could on the ground. Tried not to move too much.
When you say try not to move too much, what do you mean by that?
Just like any pathways that might have already been there. Didn't want to like move anything that could have been there.
Okay, and is there a reason why, I'm just talking about you now, not the other two. Is there a reason why you did not want to move anything?
Searching for my sister, I just didn't want to move anything that could possibly help.
Now, you said you folks were kind of close together, but you got separated, is that correct?
Yeah.
When you say kind of close together, what does that mean?
Like we could touch elbows, staying pretty close.
And can you describe the density, or let me use another word. Could you describe if, when you went into this area to do the search, can you describe the brush or the bush area?
It was very thick, lots of trees, lots of bushes.
Okay, can you say that a little louder, please?
It was thick, lots of trees and lots of bushes.
Did you folks have any tools with you at that time, like a machete or something to clear trees or bushes?
So objection leading.
The objection is overruled.
You can answer that.
I know I didn't, but I wasn't fully aware if anyone else had brought anything.
And you said at some point you got separated from the two, is that correct?
Yes.
And can you explain that?
They walked towards the river that's in the bush area, as I was walking kind of more next to the dirt road and staying along that side.
Okay. Before we get into the physical evidence, I think this is a good time to.
All right. This will be a good time to adjourn for the day. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to adjourn for the day, and we won't be asking you to come in tomorrow, of course, because tomorrow's Thursday. And we'll look forward to seeing you on Friday, that will be July. Friday, July 15th at 9 a.m. All right. Thank you very much for your service as jurors today. Please keep in mind the cautionary instructions.